If you've ever typed diet and cancer into a search engine, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's a lot. One article is screaming at you to avoid all sugar, the next one says keto is the only way, and then a third tells you to only eat alkaline foods. It's honestly just overwhelming. So in this explainer, we're going to cut right through all of that noise.
So, let's just ask the big question right up front. Can the food you put on your plate actually make a real difference in the fight against cancer? It's a huge question, maybe one of the most important ones, and today we're going to unpack it piece by piece.
Yeah, let's cut through that noise. We're going to look at the actual science, the core principles, to build a really clear, evidence-based picture of how food actually interact with our body's health. No hype, just the facts.
So here's our game plan. We'll start with the basics, how cancer cells eat. Then we'll get into how our amazing bodies fight back. From there, we'll get super practical with how to build your plate, what to maybe limit, and finally, we're going to tackle those big, confusing dietary debates head on.
Okay, first up, let's understand the battlefield. You know, to figure out a good strategy, you first have to understand your opponent. And for cancer cells, their main goal is simple. They need fuel.
And that brings us to this really fascinating idea called the Warburg effect, discovered way back in the 1920s. A scientist named Otto Warburg noticed something really strange. Cancer cells are absolute sugar monsters. They just gobble up glucose at a wild rate. But they're incredibly wasteful with it.
And just how hungry are we talking? Well, some cancer cells can devour up to 4 times more sugar than our healthy cells. This intense craving is actually the science behind PET scans. You see, doctors use a radioactive sugar to literally light up the parts of the body that are eating it up the fastest. And those bright spots? Yeah, those are often tumors.
So if cancer is that hungry, how in the world does our body fight back? Well, it turns out you have this incredible built-in set of defense systems that are working for you 24/7. It's pretty amazing. We've got at least 5 major defense systems. There's anti-angiogenesis, which basically starves tumors. Our regeneration systems, which heal and replace damaged cells. Our microbiome, all those gut bacteria, helps control inflammation. We have DNA repair teams that fix mistakes in our genetic code. And of course, our immune system, the frontline soldiers, actively hunting down rogue cells. And here's the key. Food can give a major boost to all 5 of these.
Let's just zoom in on one of these because it's so powerful. Anti-angiogenesis. See, a tumor can't get any bigger than the tip of a ballpoint pen unless it has its own blood supply. It has to trick your body into building new blood vessels for it. Anti-angiogenesis is your body's natural defense that stops this from happening. It literally cuts off the tumor supply lines and starves it out. And this is where your diet becomes such a powerful tool. We can actually eat foods that support this defense system. Research has found natural compounds in all these foods that have anti-angiogenic effects. I'm talking about things like lycopene in cooked tomatoes or polyphenols in green tea. Eating these foods helps your body keep those potential tumors small and totally harmless. Okay, so this brings us to the really practical stuff. How do we actually build our plate? But here's the most important thing to remember. It's not about one single magic food, not at all. It's about the overall pattern of how you eat.
I really want this to sink in. We spend so much time looking for that one superfood that's going to be the answer, but that's just not how it works. It's your whole diet. It's the symphony of all these different nutrients and fibers and antioxidants all working together. That's where the real power is.
So what does that pattern actually look like? Well, a great science-backed model is the plant-forward plate. Super simple.
Try to fill half your plate with colorful vegetables. They've got all the fiber and antioxidants your body loves. Then, the other half gets split between lean protein, think chicken, fish, or beans, and high-fiber whole grains. That's it. It's a simple, sustainable way to think about your meals.
Now, just as important as what you're adding to your plate is thinking about what you might want to limit. There are certain foods that, in the research, are pretty consistently linked to a higher risk of cancer.
The big three to keep in mind are processed meats, alcohol, and heavily grilled or charred meats. The World Health Organization literally classifies processed meats as a Group 1 carcinogen, right up there with tobacco. Alcohol is a known risk factor, and that char on your steak can contain some nasty chemicals. But avoiding stuff is only part of the story. The other part is maintaining a healthy weight, which can be surprisingly tricky even with so-called health foods. Take a look at this number, 520 calories. That sounds like a small meal, right? But what if I told you that this could easily be hiding in what you think of as just a small, healthy topping for your yogurt or smoothie bowl? Let's just break this down for a second. A handful of hemp hearts, a couple tablespoons of seeds, half an avocado. Listen, these are all incredibly healthy, nutritious foods, but they are also very calorie dense. And it's so easy to overdo it without even realizing it, and that can lead to weight gain. And why does that matter? Well, maintaining a healthy weight is crucial because excess body fat can produce hormones and inflammatory molecules that can actually fuel cancer growth. All right, last section, let's get into it. We're going to tackle the big controversies, the stuff you see all over social media that causes the most confusion. This is it, the number one question. We started this whole thing with the Warburg effect, right? Cancer cells love sugar. So, does that mean if you cut out all sugar, you can just starve cancer to death? Okay, here's the balanced scientific view. Yes, on a cellular level, cancer cells use a ton of glucose. But guess what? So do your healthy cells, especially your brain. Right now, there is zero scientific evidence that totally eliminating sugar from your diet can stop cancer from growing. Of course, a diet full of processed junk food and sugar isn't good for anyone, but the real focus should be on an overall healthy eating pattern, not an extreme unsustainable restriction. So what about these other popular diets? You've got the alkaline diet, which suggests you can change your body's pH with food. The problem is your body has these incredible, powerful systems to keep your blood pH in a super narrow, stable range, no matter what you eat. And then there's the keto diet, which tries to starve cancer of its favorite fuel, glucose. It sounds plausible, right? But so far, clinical trials just haven't shown it to be a magic bullet, and honestly, it's extremely difficult for most people to stick with. And this really leads us to one powerful conclusion. The most effective, science-backed dietary strategy isn't about extreme restriction. It's about addition. It's about building a sustainable, enjoyable, anti-inflammatory way of eating that crowds your plate with all of those protective, nutrient-packed foods. And that, right there, is the real path forward. Instead of trying to overhaul your entire life overnight, the evidence really points towards making small, consistent steps. Maybe it's just adding a handful of berries to your breakfast, or maybe it's adding one more vegetable to your dinner plate. Those are the changes that build a powerful foundation for your health in the long run. So the question to leave you with is right there on the screen. What's one small, sustainable change you can make to your plate today? Thank you for being with us until the end of this video. Please be sure to subscribe to the What Does Science Say channel and give us energy with your likes and comments. Share your comments with us and send the video to your loved ones so that others can also use it.